Hey guys, we're doing a bit of a check-in today and we're looking at the power of sacrifice. So yeah, that's been a relevant topic for me at the moment. So I wanted to talk about it. And particularly we're focusing on fasting and abstinence. So when we think of fasting in the Catholic Church, traditionally that's on Fridays or even Wednesdays as well. And there's two mandatory or obligatory days of obligation for fasting, and that is Good Friday and Ash Wednesday. It's only 2 days in the year, and then it's kind of up to you what you want to do as well. So that on those days you have typically one small meal, one big meal and then two small meals that together aren't bigger than the big meal, if that makes sense. And also abstaining from meat on those days as well. So that's Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. But the church also recommends that Friday is a day of penance, and it's also like that day of sacrifice as well. And so I've been trying to pick this up a bit, and for me it kind of became important since I did this challenge called Fiat 90, and I did this challenge last year for the first time. It's a 90-day challenge that leads up to leads up to Easter Sunday. So it's 90 days before that, so Lent plus an extra like 50 days. And during this challenge, we kept Friday as a day of fasting, and we did different sacrifices as well. And that's when I first really started to do fasting, which is quite interesting because I've been a Catholic all my life and not done this practice really. But yeah, I became immersed into this practice during this challenge, and I found it really difficult. I think that was one of the hardest parts of Fiat 90 was it was both Wednesdays and Fridays for quite a while there, so a few months. And yeah, it was about offering up sacrifices for God. And yeah, a lot of it was around food. So yeah, I found that difficult because while I have things I give up all the time, or here and there, I just have breaks from this. For example, I was doing a social media break for 2 weeks and I finished that yesterday, and I just felt like I needed that cleansing, and that wasn't actually too difficult for me, and so I could go without reading this book I really like for a while. Like I could do those kind of things, but when it comes to food I find it more challenging because food is so good, and it's hard being hungry because you can physically feel that. So yeah, but I think it's about being comfortable in the uncomfortable, because it's when we're uncomfortable, we're fully relying on God, and we're fully knowing that it's His strength that is working in us. And yeah, so I started doing that in Fiat 90, fasting, and seeing what sacrifices I could make, particularly on Wednesdays and Fridays. And it happened that one Friday I was doing fasting, and I saved my big meal to the end of the day at like a youth group I was going to. That would be my meal. And I got to the youth group and I knew that they were going to have like a really nice meal because my friend's Italian mum makes the best pizza and she was providing that night. So everyone was so excited. And then it came around for the talk. So there's talks that are given at youth groups usually. And my friend was giving this talk to the young people. And as I was sitting listening to this talk, I was thinking, I wish this message really stayed with these young people, and I wish they heard something that will bring them closer to God and like really stick with them. And I asked God in that moment as I was listening to the talk, what can I do? Because I was just listening and receiving as well, but I wanted them to receive. So I asked God, what can I do? And like instantly I heard his reply, and he was like, offer up this meal for them. And I was like, what? Can't I do tomorrow? Like, can't I offer up my meal tomorrow? But I just felt like saying, God was saying, no, tomorrow is for tomorrow, today is for today. And so he's giving me a choice to offer up this meal. And then I knew it was going to be hard, but then I just said, yes, God, I offer up this meal. I'm not going to have this meal so that they can get something out of this talk. So that was my prayer. And instantly, when I just said yes to God, so I gave that fiat, like, fiat, your will be done, God, then instantly I didn't feel hungry anymore. And that was so miraculous. And I really see from that, like, all God was after was my yes to him. And he would do the rest. And I see that's really what fasting and sacrifice is about, is that we're saying yes to him. Even when it's uncomfortable, we choose him and we put him as the first place. So food is a blessing, food is a gift from God, but God is first. And he will provide what we need. Yes, so recently I've been doing fasting, or kind of ever since Fiat 90 last year. I've been trying to keep this practice, but even more so now I'm seeing the real importance of it, because there's some big things I'm praying for, like the Japan mission, and things that are even more seemingly impossible need really powerful prayers, which, you know, makes sense. And when you fast and make sacrifices, that is really powerful, and God really honors that. And something that clicked with me, but when I was in Zambia, so we're staying with our friends, so Aunt Silica, her name is, and as I was talking to her, I was really inspired by her life, because she was saying how she would wake up at 3 a.m. to pray. Like, she would get up out of bed at 3 a.m. every day and pray to God. And that was something that she felt God was calling her to do, because she couldn't see how she could live her life without prayer, some intense prayer, because she had some big battles she was facing, especially because she was raising at least 4 kids and some nephews as well, looking after them, while her husband was away in America. So she was doing a lot on her own, and she knew that she couldn't do it without God. So she made that sacrifice of getting up at 3 a.m. in the morning and just praying to God, and then going back to sleep after. And then she told me that even those days that she didn't want to get up, and she just was planning to sleep, God woke her up at 3 a.m. anyway. So she's like, yeah, she needed to pray, and she could recognize that. So yeah, there's power in our sacrifice, and I was really inspired by her example. And she also was talking to me, because I was explaining that I want to do mission in Japan, and she said, in Zambia, about 90% of the people were Christian. So, you know, the majority of people were Christian. And then I said, in Japan, less than 1% are Christian, and I want to do mission there. And she was just like blown away. She was like, oh, that's going to take a lot of fasting. And yeah, from that, I could really see, yeah, it is going to take fasting and sacrifice. And these things don't just happen overnight, or don't just happen randomly, but there is sacrifice involved. I have to do my part in God's plan as well, to be his vessel. So I do what I can, and really offer what I can. And at the moment, that's like little things like abstaining from Instagram and not getting distracted and not wasting my time on that. But there's also times for this and times for that as well. I'm making sacrifices in different areas. There's also times of celebration, and we know that in the Bible, when Jesus was with his disciples, people were saying, oh, why aren't your disciples fasting or doing this? And he said that he basically was saying that they don't need to, because he is with them, like in that time. So I think of that in times of celebration. So these are the things that we prayed for, so we should praise God for those things, and really enjoy them, because God does want us to enjoy life. So there's times for this and there's times for that. And it's to say, like, not to go overboard with fasting and pain and discomfort, but only do what God is really calling you to do. And that may take, or that definitely will take discernment. What does God want you to do in this moment? What sacrifice can I make right now? And that might look a little bit different. It could be saying, like, I'm not going to swear today, and really working on that, and like offering all our words to God. So in that way, it's abstaining from swearing. And if that's really difficult, maybe find some tricks around that by speaking less that day, or making sure that anything that comes out of your mouth is something positive. And that could be a challenge, just in a way that opens your eyes to how you truly are living. And fasting, it really helps you see what are the things that you are clinging to, what are the attachments you have in your life, and have you slipped into a pattern of putting those things above God? Because really, we want to be detached from these things, because, as I've said before, this is not our home. Heaven is our home. And we don't want to be still holding on to these things of this world. But we really want to be preparing our way for heaven. And how are we going to do that if we're still attached to these things? Or, I still need to finish this series. I still need to do all this. I still need to, I don't know, eat this really nice burger or something like that. So we just need to remember that we want to be detached from this world. And it can be hard. And we can continue to ask for God's grace, his strength. And by doing these little practices of fasting, it actually helps us so much in other areas of our life, and helps us to grow spiritually as well. And I've got a lot of, I believe I have many blessings just because I've fasted in a day. Even this year, one of the days that I've talked about on this channel, where I went to a school, and this lady, I went to the school, and it was going to be really difficult to do ministry in theory, and I knew it was going to be difficult, but I also knew God was calling me there to lead on that day, and also to speak to this lady who is Japanese and very into her faith. And I realized that there's such a big opportunity right here, Lord, and I can't do this on my own. And I know the enemy is going to try and, attack today. So a way to stay strong was through fasting on that day. And that was such a blessed day. And even at the end of the day, I went into a place where I needed God's strength as well. Some situation that I was navigating, and I really needed clarity, and I knew I couldn't do it in my strength. And these people, they didn't need me, but they needed God. So I really wanted to be his vessel in that way. So yeah, there is power in your sacrifice, and God really honors it. And he will bless many people through that sacrifice that you offer up in prayer. He'll bless many people, and he'll also bless you, which is also a bonus. And this way you can also start to hear his voice a lot more and feel his presence in your life, and really rely on him and realize how great he is and how weak we are. Because when we are weak, he is strong. So praise the Lord. All right. God bless. Bye.